Now it says it's preparing to live stream the meeting, so that's good news.
Okay, good. Let's see here. It's now it's a different link than the one that you have planned in your.
Oh, and then it's streaming in there. Okay, but I think
it starts with you doing.
Okay, so it's already streaming.
Yeah, yeah. So I opened the link that I can click on a button here and I can view stream on YouTube. So the link, so this is not public unless people click on, yeah.
Okay, and I think there's there's a really weird delay effect going on. So maybe if I could get you to turn off the sound on, yeah. Okay, so what I think will happen is I will start the other live stream and then I will share this. I will share this this link over there.
Yeah.
So that's
well, I would suggest you stop this one and just start a new one.
okay. Okay, that's like a weird tunnel effect in the delay going on here. But I think what we will do is enable live stream. Okay, so we're able to live stream essentially, and then I will. This one, of course, needs to be muted. No, there's already someone in there. So I'll just post the link in case someone is following the other link. I think that will be how we do it.
Yep. Sure.
Because that's and then I'll transfer rights to you in Zoom. Correct?
I don't think we need to.
Okay, so you can administer.
Yeah, I think it's fine as it is.
Because right now it looks like is okay, so this is actually the Zoom button. Good. I think we are both live on YouTube now. And okay, for those joining in, if you're hearing me out there, we're having some technical difficulties. This is a technical trial run, but I'm glad to see someone is joining in, and we will get the Arcturians through in a little while. We'll just be sure that that everything is working and connecting here. Okay, good. So this is excellent. And I think people will probably, let me just get the, okay. I think it'll be fine like this. People are watching over on the other one, I can tell. So it'll be all right, and we'll just I think we'll just start. Is everyone hearing me?
Yes.
Yes, perfect. Thank you so
Yeah.
much for confirming and showing up. And I just wanted to be sure that I could also hear you when questions started to arise. And yes, and you are also with me on YouTube. And just know, if you are on YouTube, you can type questions in the chat, and then dear compatriot Hogne will read them aloud and post them, and then you will get them answered in that way. And so happy that that you could show up, those of you who are here, and I hope you are looking forward to this session as much as I am. So have a good one. I will start inducing a trance, and then in a little while the Arcturians will greet you. Greetings and salutations, dear Earth brothers and sisters, sweet star beings of our galactic family. We are so happy to be able to interact with you this day in this beautiful moment of co-creation. We offer all of you our loving energy, and we would remind each and every one of you that we mean this in the most literal sense, that our vibration is one of love. And when you stay open to that vibration, you are tuning your own ability to stay in love. We have both a message for you this day, and we are more than willing to both answer questions and give out blessings and understanding. But we will start this message simply by confirming, because we are sensing that the vessel we are coming through is a little nervous about the technical difficulties. So we would answer if one of you could confirm that you are in fact hearing us.
Video and sound is good.
Yes, we are so happy to know that. Then we will go on by first transmitting this message to you, this message being that going into the unknown is always difficult. Where you are at the timeline, that those people who are listening and will be listening to this, where you are at on your timeline is one where, as it is known from another famous channel, the train has already left the station. You are already on the trajectory into more light, more bright, more blessed, more expansive realities. But what is happening more concretely in your reality is that you are emerging from your slumber, in a sense. You are experiencing that you have been almost, literally locked down in your houses, hidden away in the darkness. And now you are emerging into the light with all that forceful energy. And you know, from compared to the safety of your and the dark of your house, it is very bright outside. The sun is shining, and it is hard to not lose your orientation or to not get dizzy and somewhat confused by both the brightness, but also with all the activity that is going on from all the other people also emerging from their dens. And that is difficult. This is where you are at in your energetic cycles. The month of August, you will see, will be this type of concrete condensation of the frenetic energies you have experienced in this year already. But We reassure you, for each and every one of you, that you are already on the path where you are going into realities that are far more expansive and far more amazing and surprising than what you were able to imagine in your childhoods with the realities you were born into. And with this, we give you our preliminary blessing. I am, as a representative that has been asked to come forward this evening, Umblam, a character of the Arcturians when we were still separate in characters, which we are still, of course, in a point in time-space that is separate from this one by great distances and many years. But we are present here today, and I am present here today as a representative of our collective energy, awakening in it and transfixing it and expanding and strengthening it through each and every one of you. Be blessed and loved. We would ask if any of you are willing to come forward and pose us a question.
Kate, do you want to ask a question today?
I would love to ask a question, not that I have them ready, but thank you for being here for us. How far in the future are you to us, bringing us this in our present moment?
We are, in fact, more located in what you would think of as your past. That is to say that on the linear perspective of linear time, we actually preceded in our evolution the development of the human species. And there were also the race of the Pleiadians, for instance, that we were very involved in also bringing up, who has also been very involved in bringing you up. So in that sense, it is, we would say, in Earth time, about 2.75 billion years ago that we started shifting our consciousness from our planetary individualized experience fully into our star like energy or emanation, or into the star Arcturus, which was in the terms of dimensions a shift from the 7th to the 8th dimension. And we have since then and are currently emitting the energies of the 9th dimension to you, which means that we sustain ourselves actually more in thought forms. So we are ever present. That is, we are present with you in this moment, but our physical forms, the form that I am, has not been alive for almost 3 billion years. We know this is kind of strange in human terms, but it makes perfect sense to us. Don't worry.
It makes sense to us too, I think, in some ways. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. I guess another question would be, is it's a time for what they call twin flames to come together now to do this next part of the mission, or soul complements. Can you speak a little bit about that?
Oh, yes. What a beautiful question. Thank you so much for allowing us to illuminate everyone on this subject. It is true that these twin flames, well, if you are familiar with the way that reality is structured in the most meaningful way, you could think above you on the immediate non-physical level, you have your soul, and this soul is part of a soul group. And within this soul group, there are what you think of as soulmates, or spirits who are somewhat related to you in vibration, and that will shift in and out of your life. But there are also above that level what is known as twin flames. And it is interesting because the thought of the twin flame has to some extent been, we use the term, hijacked by the sense of the romantic spirit, because humans so far have had a hard time understanding that so harmonious and meaningful and open and honest exchanges and relationships between human beings were possible, unless they were fixed in the role of usually male-female marriage. But what you are learning now is that also, actually, as it is said of soulmates, it is even also true of twin flames, that you have many twin flames, which are these very harmonious patterns. And what happens is that these are usually not conflict ridden. These are usually more synchronistic. These are usually more driven with you sharing the more growth inducive aspects of yourself with the world. And we would, just to give you a concrete example, we would point you to that what is going on with this co-creation, where the person who is managing this, the individual called Hogne, and the individual called Mads, who is another individual, they have somehow, their fates have been intertwined by different themes. So that's a type of vibrational match that has simply come about and been facilitated by the algorithms of the internet, and then been developed by the two of them. And now this is unfolding in this type of harmonious creation that is again expanding and reaching and allowing for our energy to reach, for instance, you, but to reach also other individuals. So this is a very concrete way in which you will experience in your own personal life that more of these encounters will happen. And we imagine in your personal case, you have already experienced this year that you feel, even though your outer existence has been more precarious, that your inner existence is coming closer and closer to actually being matched by what it is experiencing of content and information and other people in its outer life. And we venture to predict in 27 days, you will experience a build-up to this time. And within that period, you will see in 27 days, there will have been an encounter in your life approaching the last days where you will not even have noticed that this person is so much in harmony with your own development that you simply click. And that is an interesting fact with the twin flame that you are often used to in what is called soulmate relationships, to feel that tinge or that excitement or butterflies in your stomach, or that sort of nervous, almost drug-like infusion of having the sense that you can have your wants satisfied by this person. But the twin flame relationship is different because you're vibrating at a different frequency. So it's more that you don't even notice how much you're vibrating because you're carried away in the moment. You facilitate that presence of being in an expansive now with each other. And that will happen to you personally. And we assure everyone who listens to this interaction that it is going on in your process and that your vibration is purifying. And that is also why you, to some extent, feels that a lot of negativity might be coming up for you.
Thank you very much for that explanation.
Thank you so much for that question.
I don't know if anyone else has another question, but I have one more if I'm allowed. The angels, archangels, the creator beings seem to be coming together in corporeal form at this moment. Can you explain that a little bit for us?
Well, yes, you see more energies are being embodied, and it's interesting because in the centuries leading up to this, you have had the sort of idea of almost the other realms or the mystical realms being strange physical worlds apart. So it would be like an angel would almost, rip open your roof and then come down and stand there in your bedroom. But what is in many ways happening is that, again, these vibrational frequency matches. So you are entering into a place where the phasing in and out of higher vibrational beings such as the archangels is possible. People who had angelic revelations in olden times, such as is described, for instance, in the Bible, where, yes, let's take the Annunciation of Mary, where we believe it's the Archangel Gabriel who comes to her and announces. That requires a certain type of very high vibrational being to even experience that interaction. But many of you are approaching the reality where you can actually see the phasing in and out of high vibrational beings. And it's also becoming more and more natural to us to interact with our energies. And we are becoming are almost able to, with some certain individuals, and we have revealed ourselves to others in other forms, but we are becoming able to, in timelines closing in, to actually shift into a physical form into your timelines. And should we choose to do so, we can, because we are in that sense immortal, because we have yes crossed the boundaries of time space, which makes the illusion of death sort of see-through. Does this answer your question?
Yes, it does. Thank you very much. And I'm sure others have other questions. So I am blessed. Thank you.
Thank you for very insightful questions. And
Hel-
yes, we hear a voice.
Hello. Yes, hello. I would like, if it's possible, for you to do a healing transmission, maybe with toning or light language or any other.
Yes, we would certainly love to do that. And we sense that since that voice is coming in now would also be a good time to do it. So stay present for the transmission of light codes and vibrations, and then we will translate them into your language or the English language afterwards. You sense first the vortex of your being spiraling into a center, transfiguring itself into positions of nodal harmonies, much like a multi-dimensional piece of musical composition. That is how I perceive you, and that is the true essence of your spirit, a spirit of infinite harmony, pretending sometimes to take flights of unpleasant harmonies just to experience itself realigning. That is the explanation of the transmission. We now translate the prayer we just gave you. In that creative spark you once were, you saw yourself becoming something more, and you went down a spiral staircase of golden forgetting until you arrived at this place, this moment, this space, and this time, in order to rediscover yourself as a pearl, a gemstone, hiding within a world of silt and muck, hiding within a ground that sprouts new life and that sprouts new fruits for you to also grow up and pick. Realize that you are this gemstone, you are this seed of multi-dimensional, multicolored, multifaceted creation, spiraling out from what appears as darkness into light, creation, enjoyment, and fulfillment. Meaning always, love always, light always to you.
Thank you so much. It was beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you. Blessed you are, sweet being, child of light. We venture to ask if anyone else has any questions. Is there anything on the YouTube monitor we are registering on the side of us?
And there's a question from Jan.
Yes.
He asks if you can see some errors in his patterns of thinking / feeling.
Well, these are, yes, we can, and we promise to do a reading. It's interesting. It's interesting to do it solely through the dimensions of energetics, because the spirit is present with us now, offering us information. And we would say that it's one of those paradoxes that the problem is the problem seeking. So he is looking at himself with unkind eyes in that way. He is tending too much to those problems, but not realizing that what's going on is that as humans develop, they find it is no longer, well, we would use the analogy that when you were a child, you found that you grew easily frustrated with basic, simple games. And that is why it was fun for you to play around with other kids, like to play sandbox, or to play house, or to play with a little toy car or stuff. It is because at some point this would present problems to you. But what you are doing now in your adult life is you are finding more and more complex and more esoteric problems to deal with, because they are actually entertaining to you. And so it is not that the problems necessarily are wrong, because know that you are doing, well, at least if not yourself, then you are at least doing your higher self and the cosmos a favor by exploring these matters and questioning these things. But try to remember that the problems you are dealing with are usually not much more than Lego cubes or other types of toys that you play around with, that you actually enjoy getting into trouble, or you actually enjoy scraping your knees, or you actually enjoy getting to that place where it really hurts, because that's where you learn what being is all about. And so it's not you aren't in that way doing anything wrong. Please don't think that about yourself, because in our eyes, none of you can do anything wrong, seen from the higher yourself, that you are a problem-loving person, and it is okay for you to explore that side of existence in this life.
Wonderful.
Yes.
I've asked him if he has any follow-up questions, and
Yes.
while we wait for that, we can go next to Luba.
Yes.
If I pronounce your name correct, so just unmute and then ask.
Hi, meeting. Hi, everyone.
Hello.
Greetings. Thank you very much. I would like to ask a few questions.
Yes, please.
I am joining this meeting from New Jersey.
Yes.
My question is one that I was told, one of my, I have two guardians, spirit guides. One of them are Arcturians and the other one is Pleiades.
Yes.
Danielle and Sabar. I don't know how do I connect with them better so I can hear them. How can I silence my mind? That I would really appreciate it if that they can give me any advice. This is one question. How do I perceive them? I really don't know, but sometimes my mind, it's very, I would say, chaotic. It's busy with so many voices. So yeah, but I'm talking to them every day.
Oh, yes. And we also sense that the connection is very strong, and we are very happy that you post this question, because realize that when you are attracted to this type of information and these vibrations, it is usually because you have every human being is connected to some extent to different types of astral energies, because you are all part of the all, but some of you are far more connected to these special types of star energies, and those are the people we call star seeds. And in your case, that is most certainly the case. And Danielle, we would say, I never knew her personally, but I knew someone who knew her. She was a bit older than me, and she was instrumental in developing, would say, the seascape of our planet. In that time, some people in her time were trying to explore new ways of interacting with the oceans on our planet. And well, what she did there was she found a way to communicate with the oceans by accessing the stored information that were hiding in water molecules. Well, what you are about to discover, or you will discover approaching the mid-century of this century, Resents, is that water is a memory substance. It has that, like information or consciousness, it has that flowing quality where every pattern it has once assumed is actually kept into the density of the separate subatomic particles within the water molecules. And this was one of her main feats. So we are trying to give you this information to give her more of an outline of who she was. And we also sense that she had a sort of a more pinkish or reddish energy. She was a very powerful individual in that sense. And when we say powerful in Arcturian sense, we mean she was able to hold great creative forces and able to expand in a great extent. And we would advise you to find a quiet space in your time and then listen, because her frequency is very much, often our frequency is located very much around the throat in human beings, but her frequency in particular is from the place, we are not sure if it's called in English, the Adam's apple or the larynx, perhaps, and down here to the claviceps, so that indenture. So if you focus right here, there will be a vibration when you quiet down, and that tingling sensation, that will actually be a transmission of sorts that you will then intuitively be able to translate into words. So if you do that, she will come forward, and also simply by asking her with a prayer, if she has any messages for you, we would say that would make it far easier. Yes. And then we would also advise you concerning your Pleiadian counterpart. May we ask the name again?
Sabar.
Sabar. This individual, we sense, has a more male quality to him, and he is trying to show you strength in your everyday life. So where she is kind of showing you the more expansive qualities of your own link into the eternal expansive spaces, he is showing you how to focus in the present. And a very good way for you to connect with him, believe it or not, would be to shout. Actually, if you have the opportunity to, if you have the opportunity to shout a little, that would be very good. So if you shout what tires you, and then you ask for his help or invokes it, then he will actually come forward and present himself and help you as a force that will show you that yes, you also have your boundaries and your definitions and your agendas and your way forward in this life, and that is also important.
Thank you so very much. Now
welcome.
another question, may I?
Yes.
And it's about health issue.
Yes.
Can I do have one herniated and one bulged disc.
Yes.
And I'm dealing with this for 12 years. Not that I'm dying, but I am in everyday pain, but I'm working, but I do have a pain. And I am in chiropractor's office every week, which I don't want to do that for the rest of my life. Is any way I can heal myself?
Yes.
Or you can send me healing energy as well.
Yes, we certainly can and are sending you healing energy right now, but we would like to let you know that you are more powerful and potent as an eternal being that you could ever imagine. So whatever energy we are giving you is, if you know that the term permission slips, it is simply you allowing yourself to have that experience, that assistance, because you are already an eternal creator who is able to heal yourself. And the ways you can heal yourself is that you can take up very soft exercises. We would say there is a certain sort of exercise regimen that would be perfect for you. And this will consist, and we know it sounds strange, but for you, we would say spending between 20 and 40 minutes, and we would actually say if you could do it twice a day, spending upwards of 20 minutes simply stretching. So if you are familiar with the pose known as, it's in yoga it's known as balasana or the child's pose, but it is simply the prayer pose, the most essential religious healing pose of them all, which is that you gather your heels, and then you separate your knees, and then you rest your buttocks down on your heels, and then you lean your body forward and you extend your arms and let them relax with your elbows resting down. And then you simply focus on relaxing, because there are a lot of micro musculatures in your spine that have lodged themselves in order to keep it. Well, you know that the principle that if they didn't lodge themselves there, it would have gone totally wrong. But now you're actually able to heal yourself, but it requires them for those to first release and then reconfigure themselves. So it'd be good for you to do that, and then progress from this practice into doing, you would say, more soft spinal-based yoga. And you could think of stuff such as, it's usually known as soft hatha yoga or yin yoga, but these are ways you can do it. And there are resources online where it's possible to do these passive yoga types quite inexpensively, and quite you can find free programs on YouTube, for instance. And these are things that don't require much instruction, because they actually require you to simply listen down into yourself. So we would ask you, before we proceed, if any of this information is resonating with you.
Yes, thank you so very much. That is great advice, really great advice. And then one more question. I am so drawn all the time. I believe I am empath, and I like to help people with healing as well. And I do healing, energy, distance healing. Also, at some point, I was doing hypnosis, quantum regression hypnosis, past life. But for 2 years, I didn't practice anything, because I don't trust maybe I don't trust myself. So how can I strengthen my healing modalities? And how can I improve that quantum healing hypnosis as well? Because it's very tricky, as you know, that you ask in question, and you have to be master of how to ask questions and how to continue whatever answer comes to you. So, yeah.
Yes, and we will offer to you to combine the advice we had already given you, and then to integrate in this spinal practice, because the blocks you are experiencing in one field are the blocks that are also manifesting themselves physically. So, and of course, these spinal injuries those are older, stronger blocks, but a reason that you are seeking to alleviate them now is because you are also feeling cut off from that spiritual side of yourself. And what you need to do in that practice of prayer is to surrender. And the more you surrender, and the more you surrender to your spine, the more those natural answers both by your spirit guides, but also by what you could think of as your higher self or your guardian angel or your soul. These are different words to express something that is so ineffable and so grand that it can't be frozen into language. But it will come forward. We promise you it will come forward, and it will come forward very soon if you take up this practice that works both as a meditation, as a surrender, and as a prayer practice. And it is interesting. We would just use it as a general note because meditation has gained widespread popularity throughout the West. And of course, we are so happy because this is a way of people connecting to themselves and their vibration. But do not underestimate the power of prayer. Prayer is a type of fifth dimensional modality where you connect to the eternal with your intentions. So you sort of link up the physical with the eternal. And that is what you are actually also doing when you are offering quantum healing or distance healing from a distance. And so these modalities will fit together, and you will really, we promise you, almost to a degree where we sense it will strike you with awe, but also with great gratitude that you will sense these floodgates start to open, and then your path and your light gates will start to emerge in a seem very clear to you.
Thank you very much. And
thank
one
you
more,
too.
I'm not going away, sorry
Yes,
everyone,
yes.
time. I asked for light language activation few times, but I'm still here and no light language. What's blocking me? And will I ever?
Yes, notice that it is there, but it is your attention that is not necessarily noticing it. And it is interesting because light language is often transmitted as short tonal. So when you sense the ringing in your ears, it's a tonal transmission of a type of condensed. I was very instrumental in building these in my day, but a type of condensed pattern of information that is releasing in your mind. And just know that everything will release at the right time. So if you're missing light language, try to tune into a lower level and ask yourself. And then again, the Arcturian codes are very much in the throat area. So if you center around these very fine nervous connections that protrude from below or behind your earlobe and down behind the jawline and down through your neck, and you can do this on both places, and you can even slightly stimulate them during a meditation if you wish. There you will sense that the light codes are then becoming active.
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much. And then last question, I promise.
Well, I will just check in with the moderator and say, because you will get the time to ask questions later otherwise, but is there a huge pileup of other questions that need to be answered, Hogne?
Just one.
Okay.
Write it down with my finger, word love on the sky. I am imagining that they're in a pink color.
Yes.
Pink color love. I would encourage everyone to do that. That's all I would like to ask. That's all.
Oh, that is very beautiful. Mm-hmm. Yes. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you so much.
That's a wonderful sentiment. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Namaste.
Namaste. And so we would ask, are there any others having questions they would like to have answered this day?
Yes, hello.
Hello.
Greetings. My name is Salish.
Yes, hello.
And who am I speaking to? I'm very sorry I missed the first 15 minutes.
No, don't be. And you are speaking to an entity known as Umblam of the Arcturians. I represent the 9th dimensional Arcturian collective, so I also have access to higher dimensional knowledge. But this day, the channel has sort of preferred to have a personal face on it. So you can both ask me personal questions, but also just interact with the Arcturian Council in general. We have lots of information for you, should you wish.
Oh, yes, just like the previous viewers, definitely, yes. First and foremost, just on a personal thing.
Yes.
I believe there. Well, I know. I just know there is an entity that goes by the name of Alicia
Yes.
from the Delphi Inner Earth civilization, who is trying to get in touch with me, and I need to know any suggestions that you might have that will help me to connect with her.
Oh, yes, certainly. We would say try to create a meal of Brussels sprouts and other greens preferably. So we believe peas are in season. At least they are here. So if you could try to have something perhaps with Brussels sprouts and peas, and we would say use some type of well, that would be what you resonate with most, but some type of oil we would create a base dressing with also. And then take this as a lunchbox to a place in nature, and then lose your socks and enjoy just being with feet in the grass, and it can be a park, for instance, if that's what's nearby or available to you. But we would sense again this green venture, because she will reach out to you through your we know that sounds kind of strange, and but through your tailbone. So because she's coming from the inner earth civilization, the way she's transmitting knowledge to you is sort of by opening your feet and then allowing these vibrations to seep up through your legs, and then they will enter your mind. And that's why we're suggesting these different ways of trying to align with her vibration.
Oh, okay, so kind of decided with Brussels sprouts, green peas, oil dressing. That's a new one. That's a new one. Yes, definitely. I will give that a shot.
Yes.
The other physical question. Okay, I too am like previous callers. Uh, I'm an energy healer. Just started do distant healing and the rest, and it was a very good question that was asked by Luba, which has helped me. So you've answered that one for me. Uh, but I have a bloated stomach.
Yes.
Would you be able to suggest why? I have tried so many different things, but just cannot put my finger on why I have a bloated stomach.
Well, we sense in your case that this is quite this is actually quite common for healers. There's also a higher frequency of, let us say, it's interesting because they say that if you are, and we know it's not obesity you're asking about, but we will get to you personally, but we would like to explain this point generally, that usually they say that obesity also causes people to have a bigger heart, but it is also that people who have a large heart, metaphorically, or they have a tendency to obesity because they have a tendency to absorb a lot of energy, and this is a way to sort of shield themselves from this. And there's a variation of this theme, which is the protruding stomach, which can almost look, we believe the word is edemic. So if you have seen images of people who are suffering from hunger, that lack of protein, which makes their stomach swell, and it is to some sense the same thing that is going on emotionally with you, and is very common for a lot of people who are in that sort of willingness to turn to the brighter, more loving energies in this life, because they have had to somehow surmount the pain in order to get to that place. And because there's a lot of pain going around in the collective, and because there's a lot of pain in your personal life that you have, as everybody picked up from your parents or different places, that accumulates down there. And notice that it is coming to the forefront, and it is hurting, and And it is interesting because the channel is finding this extremely interesting, because he's been dealing with some of the same issues of a sort of swollen stomach until even though he's actually like quite lean, there's something there that just doesn't want to let go. And notice that it is sort of the indigestion of the world that you are taking it upon your personal body to hold there. And a way you can actually try to release it, is that you can try to relax your jawline and these places, because there's a great deal of, let us say, energetic and personal psychological resonance between the areas of the mouth and the areas below the waistline. They are controlled by some of the same tension patterns. So if you try to relinquish those and speak more easy and get more into the energy work, you will notice that your stomach will start to sort of tense up. And we can't promise you that it will ever quite go away in this lifetime, but we can promise you that you will start to see shifts in it where you feel that your digestion is, for instance, improving.
Sorry, I just wasn't too clear on the releasing the jawline.
Yes.
If you could explain that further, please.
Yes, most certainly. Understand that the jawline is, if you look at people, it's interesting because usually we just assume that that's how they look, but there is if you remember in the movie The Matrix, for instance, which has become a modern classic because it coded so many of those enlightenment codes into a very short form that was able to be symbolically digested or intuitively digested, even by those people who didn't see it. But there's the fact that the Matrix is fed into people by in this central field, which sits actually above the C7, but somehow in the back of the throat, right before. At the back of the throat, right before the spine actually ends. And notice that this is in many ways where the energetic patterns of your energy body intersects with the tension patterns of your physical body and locks down which expressions can actually be just expressed by the human body in this form. And a way to do this is, well, you can practice, for instance, chewing with your way back where your wisdom teeth are or would be if you don't have them anymore, or you can start to slowly massage that place behind the neck. You can also start to do neck rolls. So doing neck rolls for 5 or 10 days would be good for you. And then also maybe try to practice slack jawing for a couple of minutes, or when you're idling anyway, then notice that you try to actually slack jaw, because in most civilized people, we would say, they have learned that slack jawing is the ultimate signal of someone being not completely there or not having their wits about them. So it's usually these tension patterns, we ingrain them even just to signal to ourselves that we are controlled or tight or there, but actually allowing ourselves to release into those almost, and I'm using this, idiotic patterns where you just feel really, really stupid. That's very, very healthy to release some of those tension patterns, and especially around the mouth where your expressive personality is also situated.
Okay, I will definitely try that. On a general thing,
Yes.
now, at this present moment in time, reading the current consciousness of the planet, what would you suggest if you were in our shoes? What would you be doing?
Yes, we would actually. Well, at least for those individuals that we are interacting with here and that we will be interacting with we would be doing much of the same things, because you are on the correct trajectory. And notice that basic problems such as digestive problems, for instance, are things that are emerging in your personal lives because they are ready to be released. So we would say, but we would try to trust more. We would try to laugh more. We would try to enjoy more, because notice and realize that you are on the path, and what you are doing is that you are allowing your, you could call it your conscience, or your soul, or your spirit, or your connection to who you actually are, integrate into your being. And that's inherently painful, but we do sense that if you start paying attention to some of these more bright realities, and also if you start to maybe look at some of the harsher sides of human experience with a humorous tint, or at least in the sense that knowing that also this is a part of the human comedy, then you will align yourself even more with that place where you actually enjoy being, because it's going quite well, but it does look a mess. And that's, we know it's weird to understand, because usually the indicator of things going well to human beings is that they are very orderly and very controlled. But try to focus on the indicator actually being that you are able to accept things being quite inorderly, quite disorderly, and quite unorganized, hard to understand and comprehend or fully take in at once. And that was the metaphor. And we realized that you personally didn't get this message, but we do enjoy repeating it. That was the metaphor of the sun, or entering or exiting into the light again, and being struck by this sunshine that almost smarts your eyes because it's so bright. But then, yes, just turn your attention to the fact that you're bathing and basking in it, and that you're being warmed by its glow.
I get the gist of it. I do get the gist of it. I have to re-listen again. Listen again next time. Okay. For now, I have no more questions. If someone else would like to come in, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you also so much, and blessed are you.
Okay. Namaste.
Namaste.
Now we have a question from YouTube. We have 2 questions on YouTube, and then we will continue with the questions from Zoom.
Yes.
So Jan had a question earlier, and now he has a personal question about what he was doing in his recent lives.
Oh, this is most interesting. Understand first, and we like to do this preliminary, that what is also happening with the changing timelines and vibrational integrations and the shift into 5D is that you are becoming aware that these past lives are to some extent playing out right now. But of course, yes, it's hard to understand that at the same time as you as an eternal being are all these lives at once actually shifting as a geometric, almost dynamic structure. But at the same time, there is a process that is shifting up to this. And in his most previous life, he was a washerwoman in Rwanda, we are getting. So in the sense that in the East Africa, he actually spent a life not doing that much, actually trying to just situate to how it was being in a human body, because in the life before that, he had spent, well, he spent some time as a Viet Cong combatant in the theater of actually, it was more in the early war of the French, with the French in the war of the Indochina, which became what is known as the Vietnam War, the American conflict. But he spent some time there, and that was quite awful for him. He burned up a lot of karma because he actually spent a lot of time in severe agony, which is a way to burn off karma, oddly enough. So those were 2 lives. Then there was a parallel life running alongside that, which was more in the Syrian star system, where he spent some time as a more of a whale-like or cetacean being, communing with his friends and frolicking about the sea and writing poetry. And then in the life before that, in at least in his human life, oh, this is interesting. That life he spent as a scientist. So he spent it dedicated to developing yeast cultures that could be helpful in, we are thinking, trying to explore the pattern of combating or understanding bacteria and how they react to, yes, different types of other substances. We want you to ask, and we know there's a slight delay on the feed with YouTube, but if there's any resonance with him, we can also strike down, because the past life, we would say, that has the greatest resonance to him right now is a life as a, this is interesting, as a Tatar princess in the late 1200s in the area that is today mainly known as Uzbekistan, or we believe actually perhaps closer to Kyrgyzstan. The channel's idea of, yes, we believe it's about there, and in this lifetime there was we'll say a type of great splendor about his existence. So strangely enough, he lived in a very rough culture, but he was presented with a very great deal of strange fragrances and exotic people and interesting experiences and enjoyment and merriment, and also the right to lord it over other people. And that is something that is sort of playing out as a negative in his life right now, because these are some of the things that he is needing to let in to explore, sort of this more we believe it's called joie de vivre, or joy of life in so this sense of actually enjoyment that you could think of almost as princess-like. We hope this makes sense to him and resonates.
Yeah, he made a few comments. One was laughing out loud, and the other one was, that's weird, thank you.
Yes.
Not everyone get to be a Tartar princess.
No, most certainly not.
We have another question from another person.
Yes.
So first is a statement. Another channel has mentioned about the wars behind the scenes going on right now, and that many people are called to fight in the astral realms without knowing it on a conscious level.
Yes.
So how can one verify if this is the case for him, or remember what is happening on the other planes of one's existence? And there's a second question, but we can do that afterwards.
Yes, that sounds like a good timing, because this is, of course, a big or a huge question. And we would say, when you think of astral battle or astral, you could think of it more as involuntary exchanges of intentional energies, loaded intentional energies. It's interesting. We remember in one of the very old, or not very old, but first channelings of the reptilians that this channel brought through, they mentioned the type of warfare that they had engaged in. They used the parallel of the type of psychological or interdimensional warfare that shamans in the Amazon conduct on each other. You know that a shaman may live in a valley, and then he have an idea that the shaman who lives in the next valley, for some reason, that dude's a bad dude who practices the craft wrong, and he spends time like sending these arrows of both malevolent energy or evil energy that's supposed to curtail and limit this person. And a lot of you are actually engaging in the same things, but it's more in the dream realms. And a way to gauge it is, of course, have comfort that you are not able to participate in anything that your higher self doesn't allow you for yourself to participate in. So whatever is playing out, it is playing out meaningfully. But you could think of, well, one way to gauge it would be to gauge your energy levels in the morning. So that would be to say, how do I actually feel? How did I feel when I when I went to sleep? How do I feel when I go up? And if you have the sense, and you know, all human beings have that sense sometimes, that a very, very, very long time has transpired between the time that they went to sleep and the time that they wake up. That's usually a sign that you have been somewhere very, very far away on the astral levels doing this. And you will also feel that usually you have that sense of almost rugged experience that you also have, like if you finished a hike or a longer journey of sorts. So those are ways that you can gauge it in your personal body. Other ways to do it would be to enter into, of course, if you are into trance channeling or able to do that or willing to explore doing that, that's a way to do it. But otherwise, different hypnotic techniques such as, yes, being brought into hypnosis and telling someone else about it, or doing spontaneous writing and trying to get deeper and deeper into that. So give yourself the theme of where was I last night, and to just write what comes to mind first, and keep writing without your conscious mind interfering in it or judging what's happening. And then you will see very great spontaneous results happening in what the information that comes forward.
Wonderful. Then I'll change to the last question from that person.
Yes.
He also asked if if you have any recommendation for her own development, if you see it.
Well, this is interesting. It's the hesitation that you sense is because the channel is always so hesitant that we are able to do this, that it's just like, okay, some person is putting electrons on a screen, and then we can tell something meaningful about them, but he'll just have to sit back because we can interact with this person and her oversoul because she's volunteering to do so. And what she's wishing to work on right now is her sense of integrity. This is in many ways the case for all of you, but in her it's quite literal, a type of physical integrity. So she has had the feeling that she's been almost coming apart at the seams, or that her limbs have been wanting to go back in each direction, because she's been so uncomfortable about a lot of the stuff that's been going on. And that's because she's a very empathetic creature. So we would remind her to start drinking, well, 2 glasses of water more would be a very good way of start integrating this. But then if she could start developing a headstand practice, and if we don't know if she's able to do this, but there are other ways of inverting yourself where you don't necessarily get entirely up on your head, so you could also do, this is also a very good practice if you're not comfortable, or just if you want to relax, then crawl up to a wall and then put your keister or your behind up close to the wall, and then sort of slide or shimmy in the way so that your legs stretch up the wall and that your body is stretching down and lying down flat on the ground. And of course we suggest something soft, and then doing that for some time, that would certainly help very much with the integration she is seeking. And then we would also suggest her to paint a little more. We sense that she's a person who actually likes to put color in her life, quite literally. And so if she could paint more, that would be excellent.
Wonderful.
Wonderful.
Then we have Luba, then Paula, and then Katie again.
Yes, lovely.
Okay, I would like to ask how you, Arcturians, are helping us, humanity, this time on the planet. Thank you.
Yes. You sense we do so in many ways. One of the ways is, of course, the way we are interacting with you now, and we are interacting with a lot of humans through a lot of channels. And notice that for you, you may think, because you are used to thinking in these causal patterns of great material reflex. So, someone has to shoot somebody and that has to start a war or something. But to us, this is also, ripples on the water. So we are transmitting our energies to individuals, and this energetic transmission is helping you to reconfigure your alignment and your vibrational alignment to switch into timelines that are more positive. And the more you switch into these timelines, the more we can interact with you. So it is like a type of spiral effect where the more we are able to turn your attention into what we would prefer you to look at, so you can help us help you explore, and thereby also helping us explore. That is a way we are doing that. So we are realigning a lot of energies. We are answering a lot of prayers in the way that we are entering a lot of people's energy fields and trying to readjust and realign them. We are also lending our energies to protective grids in a lot of circumstances. And we would say, for instance, that the avoidance of nuclear war that has taken place on this timeline and that will continue, that won't happen on this timeline. But that we have also been instrumental in trying to create protective grids and what you may think as a type of influencing of the mental patterns of people who will otherwise be inclined to do so foolishly destructive things as to set off a hydrogen bomb.
Are you also interacting or connecting precisely American government?
Well, not exactly. No, we are in the astral sense. We are connected to everyone, and it is certain there are some individuals within. If you see the whole government structure as such, we have the ability to touch on nodal points where. We have the ability to touch on nodal points and interact with people in order to make them sort of avoid unfortunate circumstances or to carry out things. But the alien intelligences that have more directly communicated with the US government in the past has been mainly the intelligences, as the Zeta Reticuli, or the gray aliens. There have been a lot of other sightings, and there have been a lot of transmissions that they have failed to decode from other civilizations. But in general, that is the case. Then there are certain individuals within the US government who are very proficient in certain types of mind control and other types of dark magic. And these people are interacting with, we would say, well, both the reptilians, but also other more demonic type like entities. They are able to do it, but this is more on an astral level. And we can reveal, at least from our perspective, that the QAnon conspiracy is very interesting because it very much reveals a tendency for human beings to be able to grasp more and more complex circumstances, but also at the same time, it reveals that reality has gotten so complex that it's possible to produce these sort of almost coherent narratives that don't actually match up to different realities. And so you can be in one reality tunnel where this makes sense, and in another reality where it doesn't make sense at all. And that's quite interesting. But there is not to our perspective, not what you may think of as a cabal of conscious evil beings who are very organized in organizing that. And we are not lending any type of information or energy or technology to the American government in order to allow them to harm or control people, because that is in no ways our highest excitement or joy.
Thank you so very much.
Thank you very much.
Hello. My question is regarding the zone, because I'm feeling energy around the zone, and it's moving close to the teeth, around the tongue, and I feel that energy is like an open portal. How can we close that, or can you help me to close it?
Oh, this is very interesting. That I'm sorry, the channel is not able to understand the word. Could you perhaps spell it for us? The John, or
the zone in the face.
The jaw.
The
Yeah,
jaw.
sorry.
Sorry. Okay. Yes. Sorry. Thank you so much for making that obvious. Oh, well, yes, the jaw, it is interesting because many of you who are experiencing ascension symptoms will have been experiencing this recently, that a lot of pain has gotten into the jaw. And it's a sign that what is happening is that, well, you literally want to open your expressive cells, and that can be difficult because you have gotten so used to clenching your jaw. And we would say a good way would be to, well, if you're into chewing gum, then chew chewing gum. But if you are more into, yeah, sorry, yes.
No, I'm sorry, but this is like a kind of ball or energy that moves around the mouth and
yes.
moves, pushing the teeth and move in the tone as well. So it is like I don't know. That's why I'm thinking that it might be a portal opening around this area.
Yes, and allow us now, thank you for that beautiful description. Allow us now to do a transmission, because with your permission, we will allow this portal to do what it is trying to achieve in your system. And that
Thank
is,
you.
yes, thank you. Yes, that was a tonal frequency, again transmitting some type of extra dimensional communication. What is happening is that your higher self, in accordance with different spirit guides, we sense the Archangel Michael being active in this. He is trying to do the strengthening grid around it, because what will be going on is that you will be expressing a whole lot more in your life. And there's a type of, we would say, almost magic codes that are coming through, partially streaming in down here and in from this sense, but also partially streaming in from all directions and being through the portal transmuted, transmissed, being in a sort of, you could think of it almost as the passageway from backstage to front to the actual stage show. It's where they're being dressed and put into rehearsal and being brought forward in order to have the transfigured impact that they will have once that the words and the spirit and the truth comes out of you and reaches the world.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And we are so happy. We would just add that you are doing that work and that you are allowing yourself for those energies to come through. And that goes for you, of course, personally and in particular, but it goes for all of you, that we realize what predicaments you find yourselves in this time. And we are very proud that you are able to grow from them. And so we will ask you, are there any further questions out there?
Yes, I have a question. Thank you again for everyone's time.
Thank you.
Would you please give your perceptions of the equality of the sovereign beings of the animal kingdom and the teachings they have for humanity, especially at this time?
That's a very, very beautiful, that's a very beautiful question. That is, we would say, well, they have different lessons, and a lot of them, of course, is to some extent painful. Well, a lot of, so for instance, notice that some of the species going extinct, some of the great rhinos or the tigers or the polar bears who are threatened, or some of these larger beings, they are showing you that your own majesty is threatened, that despite human beings having grown into a greater degree of civilization, what has been compromised by it is your ability to thrive in the majesty of your own sovereign nature, which it is important to also remember, because you are all sovereign beings and you decide out of your own free will to behave and be decent. And that is what makes you good people. It is actually that you also have the capacity for choosing something else, and that you are able to not do that, but to choose that you want to be, well, yes, in a sense, a majestic lion who protects people instead of attacking them. So that is one sense. Then there is, of course, the also quite unfortunate extermination of, for instance, the bees, and they are teaching you that your sense of separation, your way of living individually, is killing the collective energies of the planet. So that short-sighted idea of using, for instance, many pesticides in your agriculture that is killing off the bees is showing you that this is the typical idea of the individual, that as long as I profit, then everyone may, well, they will just have to live with that. But what you need to think of is being more like the bees. The bees do not care whether they fill the role of queen or worker or whatever. They are simply happy to fix or fit into their place into the cube, and then to depart for this. Because notice that even though the separate bee doesn't have much identity, it goes on very individual adventures, and it meets many individual flowers and interacts with many of them, speaking their language and carrying their messages back and forth to the bee hive mind on its own. And so the bee is both enjoying being a part of the hive mind and very much enjoying its, so let us say, singular explorations of the natural world by flying about and collecting, yes, nectar and making honey. We can elaborate further on your questions, or you can ask more detail.
Please.
Yes.
Thank you.
We would say there are other animal spirits, so we are simply we are pointing to a couple of the more pertinent examples. Another example would be, for instance, and we know this has been commented on in the channeling, the source has done before, but it's but we are pointing to the elephants, because the elephants are also teaching you that their pace is becoming, elephants exist in a very high vibrational frequency, but they also exist in a very slow frequency. That is to say that their high vibration is, much as, the Ents in Tolkien's Lord of the Rings, they are creatures that sort of vibrate over time, and it has become difficult for many of them, in particular the African elephants, who are more in tune with some natural heart energies of that continent. It has become difficult for them to exist with the intensifying frequencies of Mother Earth or Gaia. And so what that encourages you to is, to some extent, also to bring out your inner elephant into the outer realm. That is to say, that which is steady going and strong and knowing and wise, and to try to create these spaces in your physical reality, these altars or secluded spaces where time seems to slow down or stand still, because that will be needed again in these times where you are confronted with many vibrational energies of a lot of light, simply, that is bringing out both the darkness within you, but certainly in a lot of far darker individuals. And therefore, remember that the elephants also need those oases of quiet contemplation to exist in.
Thank you. And one more thing, I would ask if you would give a blessing to all the sovereign beings, animals, bees, birds, and everything on Mother Gaia.
Yes, thank you so much. And may you also be blessed for that sweet intention of yours. On this sweet mother crystalline planet of life-giving fluids and dry spaces of thought, you find yourself living with a species that longs to protect you, but that is expanding towards the stars. Please find it in your heart to continue with the patience, the forgiveness, and the love that you have shown this race, and know that you will be rejoined with them in the end to see a far more harmonious, beautiful, growing, loving, unfolding Eden, where animals and humans will once again coexist and walk hand in hand and lie together by the streams.
Thank you so much for that.
Blessed are you. Thank you so much. Blessed are all living beings on this planet, humans and animals alike.
The final question from Sailesh, if he's ready.
Yes, please.
Yes, hello.
Yes, hello.
Okay, more on a personal level, it's a two-part question regarding, for some odd reason, a lot of entities like yourselves are finding it difficult, making my life confusing in the sense that, have I had any past Earth lives?
Well, yes, if we are understanding your question correctly, what you are asking is that you also feel that your astral lineage is so strong and that you are being so much influenced by so many of these creatures that it can almost seem like you haven't been incarnated on this planet very much. And it is true, you actually haven't, or you have, but most of your Earth lives. And it's kind of interesting because this is the case for a lot of starseeds, as you may know them, such as yourself. It is that a lot of your Earth lives took place in foregone times. So in the times of Lemuria, for instance, you have had quite a lot of existences there, but you were more at home in those lives, and that is some of the codes. So your idea of how the world should be is very much hailing back from that time. And you may also find that you in your personal life feel sort of unadjusted to your physical circumstances. It's like there's simply a density in the energies of the planet that doesn't harmonize with the way you actually feel inside. And it is because you have volunteered to come here in order to also help to reconfigure the energies back to something that was way more like what it was when you used to exist here and used to come here to live a lot of lives. But of course, well, volunteering to do that, your oversoul sort of thought it might be fun to try to experience that discord between the prevailing energies and yourself, and try to see how that could help you grow or force you into different learning experiences. And we would venture to say that it likely has.
Okay. And are there any relevant past, future, concurrent lives, obviously, that are beneficial for me in this current lifetime?
Yes. Well, we sense one as a high priest in Lemuria. You worked, served is perhaps a better word for the type of activity you carried out in service of the deity of the winds, of the sky. And we would say this person was very aerial in their type of being. And so it is interesting because also notice that you started asking us about this spirit from the inner earth that was trying to connect with you. But there's also this past life of a, you could think of him as a priest of the winds, who is trying to show you to allow yourself to be more floaty, that is to be more nimble, to bend more to circumstance, to allow yourself to transpose yourself into situations that you couldn't imagine. You know, much as like the wind, one day it crosses the Sahara, and the next day it's reaching the polar regions. So much as that, that is a life that is trying to reach you. There is also an existence from a star system we would term the Klunkist. This is perhaps not, this is the word as it is coming through the channel, but the energy of the lifetime or the existence there that's communicating with you, you could think more of a, it's a being, and it's akin to, it's not a blob as such, but it is a highly evolved cellular type of instructive being. So these beings in this system, and it's in a different galaxy, it's far away, as it was said in a movie once, but it's you will see they create a sort of telepathic, embryonic, they sort of transmit their own content through their skins, and they sort of just sweat out their truth. And that's a reminder to you that some of those condensations, or let's say impositions you make around your body, such as, for instance, that the condensation, which is natural, and your perspiration, which you sometimes feel unnatural with as humans, these are actually signals of communication that serve you in a very great deal. And that is something of the fact that this very foreign type of life, in even to us, this life form is very foreign, but it is connected to you, we sense.
Okay, thank you. Last note.
Yes.
Thank you, Arcturian Council, for your suggestions, wisdom, guidance, and help. What particularly would you like us humans to do for you?
Yes, that is a good question, because notice, even though that we sense, that you sense, that we are very benevolent entities, that we love you a great deal, in human terms, there is of course no action in this world that doesn't have a type of selfish agenda. Even the loving all creation as it is a type of opportunity for the divine or the all to have an experience, which is a kind of a selfish impulse. So we really enjoy that people are thinking about us. We really enjoy that you are picturing us, that you are imagining us, that you are turning your attention to us, because we sustain ourselves from thought forms, and we have moved on from zero-sum games. So it's not that we drain your energy, because we also do sense that at least the people in this interaction realize that there's a win-win, that when you turn to us, we heighten your vibration, but we also sustain ourselves from that, because that's the way it is being a ninth dimensional collective. That is, that we are actually transfixed in existence to the degree that we are by other material beings imposing their or locking their energetic agendas to us. And your energetic agendas is what you call thoughts. So we would very much like to thank you very much for you being willing to entertain the experience of the Arcturian Council in your life, because it is as meaningful and as loving to us as it is to you.
Excellent. We'll be in touch again. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you very much.
So that was everything for today that's come so far. So I think it's a good time to draw the line.
Yes. Then we will offer you one final prayer and a blessing, and we will leave you then for this day. Powerful shudderings you are experiencing now in your outer world. So many circumventions of what was usually there as something to hold on to, that you now feel like the hurricane spiraling further and further away from its own center. But no, in that center, there is a voice of your own true inner being, always whispering, carrying out in harmonic codes its wonderful, loving agendas. And it says to you, loved you are, love you have always been, love you will always be. The light that you are within is returning to itself. Realize that you are reality itself, as beautiful as it could ever be. We will see you again, sweet human beings. Thank you so much for creating this moment with us. Be strong, feel blessed, and loved for now. Goodbye. Excellent. That was a lot of Arcturian energy in my mind. I'm so happy for the co-creation, everybody, and I hope you enjoyed it. So we will do this again sometime, and see you out there. Enjoy the rest of your night, sweet beings.
Much love to all of you. Thank you.
Thank you
Much
so
love
much.
and gratitude
Thank
to
you.
all.
Thank you
Thank-
very much indeed. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah.